You know, whenever I hear a word or a concept that I don't normally read or hear, or especially I don't use myself, I pause. Everybody knows what a solace is, right? No. Solace means a comfort, a peace, but it's more than that. A solace is really an excitement. It's a place that you could go in your own life, in your own way of being, that when everything around you is chaos, everything around you is problematic, you can be at, oh, yeah. It's such a comfort that goes beyond just being there and surviving and really being excited about life. Because you have a focus, a direction to go that goes beyond understanding. I want to show you why we so often don't have that place of solace. Anybody here drive? Are there any distractions in driving? And they're all external, right? I hesitate to even put this up because I know of people who have died doing exactly that. But before I make it sound like I'm downing on women doing this stuff or young people doing it, I came across this one and I couldn't help it. You know, sadly, I think I've resembled that a few times. Multitasking, we call it, right? Trying to get everything done that we possibly could get done instead of doing what we're supposed to be doing. Well, AAA came out with a study, and it looks like this. 6 out of 10 teen crashes involve driver distractions. What I found out after reading this one, you can take out the word teen or the clarification. This is across the board. 15% interacting with one or more passengers, not necessarily their kid. Okay? 12% using a what? Nobody does that, do they? Looking at something in the vehicle. We'll have something about that at the end of the service. 9% looking at something outside the vehicle. That one caught me because aren't you supposed to be looking outside the vehicle? 8% singing and dancing to music. Some of us shouldn't be singing with the radio. 6% grooming. I comb my hair a lot. Reaching for an object. Wow. Result, 400,000 injuries per year from unattentive driving. 400,000 deaths. Okay, I start with this illustration because this is something I think we can all relate to, right? How easy it is to let distractions get into the way and we lose our focus. Realize, please, how easy it is to fall into sin for the same reason. That we lose our focus and our attention gets thrown to something else. Satan, our sinful desire, sometimes, it's flat out him. Sometimes it's, quit blaming the devil. It's just simply us. And that evil desire begins to take control of us. And then we have a choice to make, whether we yield to the sin or we resist it and have the victory. So today I want to take us into this pattern to begin to understand more clearly how we can really do this in a way that God's mercy takes over our temptation and we become stronger because of it. Because temptation is real. Temptation is a trap that Satan uses so easily. Let's go back into our text. Jesus is in the wilderness of Judea. He's on a 40-day fast. That means he's not eating. All he's doing is spending time in prayer, contemplating God, and letting God's strength become more and more his, of who he truly is as a child of God. Notice 40 days and 40 nights, no food. How do you feel? Getting a little hungry? I know it's close to noon. Getting a little hungry? Satan says, if you are the Son of God. Oh, man. You hear that temptation hitting him? Who are you? Who's your identity? What is your identity? Does child of God come up first? Or do you try and identify it with something else? Strike number one that Satan really uses to tempt us as we lose our identity of who we really are in him. And then he says, are you hungry? If you're the Son of God, you know what? You can take care of that. Why don't you just turn these stones into bread? I love this image. Not only is the bread lined up like a cake, but you see Satan as he appears as an angel of light. His temptations are so deep, so sincere, so real. But understand this temptation. He knows Jesus is hungry. He knows what button to push. Can I ask you a question, gang? What's your button today? What's your button that's out there so easy for Satan to hit? He knows what it is. What are you doing with it? Are you leaving it dangling out there for him to grab a hold of, to use against you? Let's keep going. I'm going to switch 2 and 3 around, and I'll explain why in just a moment. In the third one, he takes Jesus up to a high location. And he shows him all the kingdoms of the world. And he says, I'll give them all to you if. And as he's doing that, he's showing Jesus something that I think we forget about from time to time. He's offering something that he already has. You want to have peace in your life? You want to have a better foundation? You want to have more money? All you got to do is look at me, worship me, and I'll make it yours. You know what I find in that that's so prevalent today? I want to have something that doesn't cost me anything. You know, I think of the lottery, I think of gambling, and I'm not saying all that stuff's wrong. It's fun if you can do it, and you can do it without losing your shirt, but at the same time, what's the principle behind all that? I want to get something and not have to work for it. Is that what God's called us to do? But let's get to the meat of this. This is the hinge. That's why I switched these two around. Jesus is taken up to this high point in the temple. That's Temple Mount. That's the high point of Temple Mount. It's one thing to look at that today and think that's what it looks like or what it would have looked like, even better without all the demolition and stuff going on around it, and think Jesus stood there with devil himself. And the devil said, cast yourself down. Because you know, Scripture says God's going to be there. He's going to protect you. Do whatever you want and God's going to protect you. Does that change the temptation a little bit stronger? Do whatever you want and God will protect you. But let's make it go deeper. If you stand on that corner of Temple Mount and you look across the valley, this is what you see. You see the green spot beside that golden domed chapel? It's called the Garden of Gethsemane. Satan took Jesus up to one of the places where he could see his future. Not his distant future, but his very near future of where he would be betrayed. How many of you would like to know your future? Let's make it maybe a little bit closer. Would you really like to know when you're going to die and how you're going to die? Let me put it in a little different way. Think about what you fear the most that's coming. What do you do with it? Cast yourself down before Satan, and he'll make it all go away. You hear the temptation? You hear the challenge? You hear the force of what he's willing to do to come after us. And yeah, he knows our buttons. He knows our fears. He knows everything about us. But you know who else does? Jesus knows. And because he knows, he's got a purpose in our lives that if we draw to him, because he's been through it too, he knows how to give us the strength. And his mercy and his love comes to us to give us a forgiveness. But the challenge that we have to go through is to realize to keep our eyes on the road. A better way to do that is maybe something we're going to do for you. As you go out into the gathering place as you leave today, you're going to see this. There is a purple cloth that we would like each of you to take home with you today. Keep it with you all throughout this week. And as you do, let's get some instructions. This sign is right there. This is what it says. Color helps us remember. It triggers memory. It even evokes emotion. Purple is the royal color of royalty and reminds us of Jesus' sovereignty, his supreme power, and his authority. Everyone is invited to take a cloth as a reminder to pray. The cloth has rough edges, just like us. Let us help remind you of Christ's sacrifice, the great cost of our salvation. You may choose what to do with the cloth. It can be tied on the purse or a backpack strap. I don't know if I want you to do this one. Tie it to your rearview mirror after what I used as an illustration. It can also be used as a bookmark, but be creative. But please use it as a reminder to pray, especially during this time. A reminder to pray. Temptation's real. It's all around us. It happens in so many different forms. How do you overcome it? Remember God's forgiveness. And when Satan starts hitting those buttons again, fix your eyes on Jesus. Please rise.